This is the story of how I went from being a nobody with just a vision and a dream to being somebody who actually played their dream venue. It's not going to be a quick and easy guide on how to manifest something. It's going to be an expansive story, and then we're going to break that story down and we're going to figure out exactly how you can manifest your dream. This is how it all started. I was studying on an island called Terschelling. We were pretty crazy back then and we smoked a lot of weed. A lot of friends of mine listened to crazy music. I had no idea what type of music I wanted to listen, so I just listened to that music. The music was called dubstep and drum and bass. I went with those friends together to a club called the Melkweg in Amsterdam, and there was a party called 50 Hertz. They were playing heavy dubstep and drum and bass over there. I went there, I took some drugs. I absolutely fell in love with the genre. And then soon after that, I wanted more. I went to more parties with the same friends. It became an obsession for me. I just kept going there, even by myself. The friends were tired of going to so much parties, but I was so obsessed with the music that I kept going and kept going. It was something magical to me. It was like I was being called to do something in my life with that music. I realized that wasn't it. I wanted more. I wanted to see myself at the site the DJ was always at. I wanted to play a set in the Melkweg, and I had no skills, I had no ambitions, I had nothing. The only thing I had was a dream, and that was it. Soon after, I went to a few parties and was basically in love and obsessed with this music. I decided to buy my first DJ controller and learn to mix dubstep. To mix my own DJ mixes, become basically a home DJ without any connection, any skill or friends, whatever. I had no idea what I wanted to do, but somehow I knew that I needed to get the controller. This eventually led to me making some DJ mixes, posting them online, getting roasted by my friends because the mixes weren't good enough. I knew this was just, or rather I didn't know, I was just going with the flow and being obsessed as much. They started to get better and better, but they still weren't good enough. So this process kept repeating and repeating until I eventually got to the point that my DJ mixes started to sound like something. During this process, I also learned the structure of the music that I loved so much. I started to post them online. I had no fan base. I had only some friends who listened to them. Now this tunnel vision of this goal playing the decks, it eventually led to me going beyond DJ mixes, because somehow I realized that DJ mixes weren't enough, but I also needed to make my own music. Now thankfully I was still studying and I had a friend who showed me Fruity Loops, and this was the start of my path as an electronic music producer under the alias called Vice Grip. First of all, I had no clue that this was necessary and I thought it was just for fun. But later on I realized that this was pretty much the base requirement of being able to play your own music behind the decks in a club. I learned everything from YouTube tutorials. I had no connections, no teachers. I just pretty much ground myself from not even knowing what a kick drum or a snare was to the point where I actually made my own first track. As everything born from my brand new skill set, obviously my first track was pretty shitty, but it was my first track. I knew that this was a major milestone because the beginning was there, and the beginning is always the most important part, like planting a seed to grow a flower. Next is a very long cycle of rinsing and repeating the process until I actually made music that was good enough for fans to listen to and dance to. I kept making track after track like an absolute machine. I was completely obsessed. I was completely lost. I had no idea who I was at this point anymore, but I didn't realize it. My whole life revolved around making a track, finishing the track, then releasing the track, getting feedback on the track, and then repeating the cycle. I got a lot better with every single track and I saw pretty crazy progress. This led to me building a small fan base, which eventually grew into my foundation for playing that club that I wanted to play. After repeating this crazy obsessive cycle, I got my first official label release, which was on the White Noise Collective WNC Water compilation album with a lot of indie artists. My music at this point was still pretty shit, but this was a major milestone because I knew this was the first official label release, and a year ago I had no idea what a label was. I was still rinsing and repeating my grind at this point, and man, did I grind. I was grinding harder than a 13-year-old kid on his RuneScape account. It was my life. I did nothing else than make music. I still did the necessities, of course, but next to that, everything that I did revolved around me making more music faster and better. At this point, I was cooking up one track every 2 weeks and then releasing it as soon as possible. I kept releasing music until eventually I formed up a network and found similar people who were doing the same thing in order to chase and manifest whatever ambitions those respective people had. We grew together, we gave each other tips, we called ourselves the slappers because whatever we made, that slapped. I kept getting better and better, and eventually I got to the point where I released my first track on a larger, well-known label, which was 40 Oscult, run by Deck Daniels. If you're seeing this, Deck, you helped me out so much. I know it never really got to us being good friends or something, but you're a legend, man. Now, at the time, I didn't realize that this was a very important milestone because I was so extremely caught up in this loop of getting better and better and not caring about anything else that I just brushed it off as, oh, it's just a track, next one. But it was actually my entry into the underground world of dubstep because it was a major label, and now I had social proof to validate that my music was in fact good enough. The following period I got a lot of more growth. The growth started accelerating. My fan base grew a lot faster at that point. I was a long time at this point of the exponential curve, and now I was here. So my network kept expanding, and the most important thing, I actually started to believe that I could play in that club because now I had released a track on one of the labels that I always was listening to, and now my track was on that label, so I knew that dubstep fans were consuming that track. The next years, which was probably about 3 years, I kept repeating this cycle of growth until eventually I got more label releases. I got my first official booking, which was playing a live stream for Homebase with Ignition. I knew this was my ticket in because the party that I wanted to play was Ignition. Now, this live stream, it was not paid, of course, because we were all artists that really wanted to play, so we just took the gig without any payments, which was stupid in hindsight, because you don't waste your time for nothing. Even if you love doing it, you're gonna get paid. I really couldn't believe that this was happening because I knew this was the path to playing that club. I actually manifested it, not knowing that this was eventually gonna be the downfall of myself because of the tunnel vision, but I will explain this to you in a second. Now, I spent way over preparing for this live stream because I wanted everything to be perfect. I went there, I played my set, I was shaking the whole time, I couldn't believe it, and in the end I played the best set of the evening, which was ironic because it was my first official booking. Soon after that I hit another major milestone in my career, which was to release Bob Crosby on Disciple Roundtable Records. This was a official major label in the scene, and this was the biggest success I've had yet and led to me becoming fully validated and respected in the dubstep scene. It was about 4 months after the live stream I got officially booked for the Melkweg. Yes, I got booked for the Melkweg at Ignition. I couldn't believe it. My whole reality was complete now. I felt like I had reached the peak of my life because I had manifested my dream. Now, shortcut to the event, I was way over prepared. I was overthinking it way too much. I couldn't even enjoy it because I was just so overwhelmed by the fact that I was actually gonna play the Melkweg with my own music. This is the top point of my career. I went there, I played a live set, the energy was completely out of this world. It was like I was in a psychedelic trip. I had so much energy, the crowd was roaring. I had no courage to pick up the mic because at that time I was still microphone shy. I didn't dare speak up, I just played my set, went crazy and then moved on to the next one. And this was probably the best, or not the best, the craziest experience of my life yet. It's been about 3 years since I played that set. Now comes the dark part of this video, because after I reached my goal, my entire life started to fall apart. I lost all motivation, I went depressed, I had lost myself. I didn't realize any of this when I was going towards the goal, because I was completely tunnel visioned on it. I had lost myself completely, but I had no idea. So after this, my whole motivation, even though I had an established fan base and a name and I loved doing it, my whole artist career fell apart because I had achieved the goal and I had never set anything beyond that. So why was I still doing it? I had no idea why. So after this came a long period of letting go of my artist identity, trying to find myself back again, and eventually led to me making this video to fully process that experience and breaking it down for you so you won't make the same mistakes that I did after you achieve your goal. So I actually manifested that dream by just completely tunnel visioning it, believing that I could, and by going for it even though I had no proof that I could do it. But I kept believing that I could do it. I kept working towards my goal relentlessly every single day. So consistency is very important. You have to be clear on what you want and you have to go for it. You have to fully send yourself into your goal without second guessing yourself. You can achieve anything you put your mind to. You have to envision it, you have to believe that you can, you have to feel it as if you're already there, and you have to stay consistent and not give up on yourself. You have to be clear on what you want so that the universe can manifest it for you. So my biggest tip for you is have a goal in the same line beyond your manifestation already in place, so that you won't end up being a complete wreck like I did, so that you can keep the momentum going. It's been a few years since then. I have recovered my identity. I know who I am again. Now I have another goal like this, which is to play a Rampage festival, which is a bass music event. But after that, my goal is to enjoy the creative process and get it as good as possible. Now, we have to break down exactly what I did. How did I manifest my dream? I had a passion that is required, otherwise you're not going to enjoy the process and you're going to keep burning out. You have to have a vision in mind. You have to have time to put into your dream, energy, because without energy you can't manifest anything. You have to have confidence, because without confidence you're never going to be able to push yourself towards the version of yourself who you want to be. You have to have commitment. You have to be committed to your goal and work on it every single day, because that is the only way you're ever going to reach it. You have to be resilient, because you're going to have breakdowns in the process of getting your goal, where you're no longer going to be wanting to go for it. But at those times you have to get yourself back together again and say, oh, this is part of the process. And in fact it is, because it is the universe testing you if you really want your goal. And that's going to happen over and over. You're going to break down a lot of times, but every time you're going to come up back stronger. It's like this. That's how you get your goal. What else you need to manifest your dream? You need to not care about what anyone else says or thinks or gives to you. You have to stay completely in yourself and focus on your goal. There's going to be people who are jealous because they see you are manifesting something in your life. You have to ignore them. You might lose friends, you might even lose contact with your family for a while, but this is how it is. You can reach your goal if you just put everything aside and put your life to it. Commitment. Be sure when you're doing something like this, you stay in yourself and you don't go outside of yourself. So don't lose yourself. Don't, like I did, I used a lot of drugs to get to my goal even faster. I went beyond my own feelings to keep pushing myself even more. Don't do that, because it's everything that you put up, it's gonna come equally hard back to you to drag you back down again. So that's why I had an extreme long period of not knowing what I want to do with my life, being able to do anything, being depressed and being unable to manifest anything, because I did way too much in that short period of time. I went in 5 years or 4.5 years from not knowing what a kick is, that is the most fundamental part of any music track, to playing at the venue that I dreamt of. And usually that takes 7 or 8 years, but I no-lifed it. I did it too much, and that's why I had an extreme crash. So I think that is pretty much all you need to manifest your dream. Now start envisioning it, and before you know it, you will have lost yourself and you will have gained your dream, or rather, you will have found yourself because you manifested your dream. See you in the next one.